I'm going to use one of the Dollar Tree wood frames and one of their burlap canvases. I love these burlap canvases. I've been having trouble finding them lately at my Dollar Trees. Have you guys been finding them in your stores? They're so much better than the regular canvases. I want them to have them all the time. But I guess you could always recreate yours with a canvas and some burlap if you can find some burlap from the Dollar Tree. And I just want the wood frame. The wood frame is the strongest frame from the Dollar Tree that I work with. So it works great when you're adding a canvas to it because the corners are not going to gap like the plastic ones did. I just removed the glass, all the staples, added a little hot glue on the inside of the frame here, and just laid my burlap canvas right inside. I'm going to leave the back open like that. I can always use that canvas to do the hanging part without having a hanger on there. I want to create some burlap flowers on here using my own DIY burlap flowers and also some of the Dollar Tree ones. For the vase, I found these great little soap bags from the Dollar Tree. These were the bathroom section, and I really bought them for the netted one on the left there because I think that's going to make a perfect fishing net for coastal crafting. But I thought this back soap holder would make a perfect little vase for my burlap flowers. So I just tied that there at the top. I guess you're supposed to put like a bar of soap in there. And I'm going to attach it here to my burlap canvas. I love the contrast of the ivory and the burlap together. I think it looks really cute and very kind of rustic spring with the burlap flower idea. I just attached it, leaving the bag open, but gluing the back of the bag to the burlap canvas like that. Trying to go around the edges too so it doesn't gap out too much. And then I am going to use a little polyfill just to give it a little bit more volume. And you can kind of see through the holes a little bit there too. So I think that's going to work well to just stuff it slightly. For the flowers, I'm going to DIY some and I wanted to start simple. I've never made burlap flowers before. I know there's a million different patterns, but we're going to start easy because it's the first time I made burlap flowers. So I designed just this printable flower, and I will include a link to this if you want to recreate these same burlap flowers. And I just printed that out on regular paper. For the burlap, I'm going to use the burlap bags from the Dollar Tree. These are usually in my crafter square at my store, but they are great burlap for crafting because they're coated with plastic on the back. They're a faux burlap, they don't fray. Perfect for something like this. So I just used my little flower stencil and a Sharpie, sketched that out on the plastic backing of my burlap bag. Probably have to change the color. I was trying not to do anything too noticeable, but I really couldn't see that mint green. So I'm going to do it with like a brown Sharpie. And I think I'm going to DIY about 5 of them. I'm going to combine them with the burlap flowers from the Dollar Tree, which come in so many different shapes and sizes. They're usually burlap or ivory. And so the ones I'm going to DIY here, I'm going to paint the burlap. So there'll be some fun spring colors. I sketched out 5 on the back here, and this stuff cuts so easily, as you can see, and look, no fraying at all. I also thought the plastic would be easier to melt a little bit. If I wanted them to warp a little bit, give me a little bit of texture since I'm not doing any of the fancy burlap flower designs. I did look to see how you make burlap flowers, and I was a little overwhelmed with how many different ways there are to make them. And I really don't like sewing, so I was trying not to do a sewing version. So we're just going to keep it really easy with a 5-leaf flower. And again, I will include the printable if you want to use that as a template as well. I just cut them all down. I thought that I could paint them like 2 different colors. And since we're doing a lot of pink and purple today, I'm going to kind of stick with those colors. I'm using a sponge stencil dauber from the Dollar Tree. I use these things all the time. They're my favorite paintbrushes from the Dollar Tree nowadays. And I am going to go over 3 of them in pink and 2 of them in that like soft purple color. And I want to make sure that the sponge works great because I don't want to get too much paint in there to block the burlap look. I still want you to be able to tell that they are made out of burlap. And 1 coat, I think, is all I need on that. Covered the burlap brown very well. And I just gave them a quick dry. And I did notice they did want to warp a little bit with heat, which is good. They do flatten out a little bit more than I would like. Though, but for the center, I'm going to use twine. And I just did a circle of hot glue in the center of my flower. And I tried both ways, working from the outside in and the inside out with the center of my flowers. I think I liked working that way. Outside in seemed to work a little bit better to create the center of our flower. It's a fun rustic touch. Other ideas is you could use buttons if you like that look for the center of your flower, or like the little wood slices from the Dollar Tree that are circular. I think those would be cute as well. Or you could even take a button and cover it with burlap. It kind of looks like that's what they've done with the Dollar Tree flowers that I'm going to be using on this project as well. But I'm going to do that with all 5 of my flowers, just creating little twine centers. Very easy and so much fun. So I'm going to combine 5 of my own DIY burlap flowers with a couple of the Dollar Tree ones as well. And I do want them to have stems. I thought the wire jute from the Dollar Tree would be perfect for the stems. The only thing is, I hate cutting this stuff, but I found that if you add a little masking tape and use some wire cutters, you're much more likely to get a good cut without the twine coming off of the wire. That's kind of my pet peeve with this stuff. And I went ahead and cut 5 of these. Kind of forgot that I was doing more flowers, but I'm going to have to add a couple more to these in a minute when I add a few more flowers. I just removed the tape and then hot glued those onto the back of my flowers here. And as you can see, the more that I've added like heat to those flowers, they have curled up a little bit, but I noticed that when I would do that, they would curl up and then they would kind of flatten back out. Right now, I think I've melted the plastic a little bit because they do have a little bit of a curl, which I like because I think that adds more fun to the flower to make them warp a little bit like that. And we can start adding our little flowers into our little vase that is made out of a soap bag. You never know we're going to find crafting supplies from the Dollar Tree, that's for sure. So I add my pink and purple flowers kind of in a random pattern like that. I want this project to be really fun and really like 3D vibe. And I think it turned out really cute so far. I went ahead and added a little bit more of the polyfill to fill out my bag, and then I glued it shut. And then I was like, oh yeah, I was going to add Dollar Tree flowers to this as well. I don't know what I was thinking, but I wish I hadn't done that. But I filled it out right there with it. And again, hitting those flowers with a little bit more heat to try to make them curl a little bit was my strategy. I don't want them to curl too much, just a little bit, and then add my flowers. These are the flowers that I was talking about from the Dollar Tree. I have like 6 or 7 different kinds of these. I think that the ivory ones are going to look better because they're going to match like the bag that we used. So I'm going to add a couple of those, and it'll add a little variety with like a different kind of flower. So I think 2 of those. So I do have to make 2 more of the flower stems here with the wired jute, and then try my best to add these to the vase because I already sealed it up. I don't know what I was thinking. They also have the burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree sometimes as well, and I do have some of those. So I thought I would add a few of those to my flowers as well, just to brighten it up. But I don't think I have a lot of room for the leaves. That's something you could DIY really easily, though. It's just a simple leaf shape, especially if you were using like the faux burlap like we used for the flowers. I love that combination. These are the ones I'm going to use, the small ivory ones. Aren't these so cute? And again, I got all of those at the Crafter Square at the Dollar Tree. It looks like the flower ones were almost more of a fall theme, but I think they go well with these spring flowers. And then I am just going to add one to the left one to this one, and maybe one over here on the right, just kind of balance things out. I want it to be overflowing with flowers, kind of going over the sides of my burlap. But so many fun textures with this soap bag, the burlap behind it. I think it's so fun. And then I'm going to tie it all off with some twine. I just fed some twine around the rope bag and tied it here at the top. I'm just going to knot it to cinch it and then use that excess twine just to tie a simple little sweet bow that can hang down from the front. Such a sweet, whimsical spring DIY. I really love it. It really screams spring, especially with like the bright pink and purple flowers added to it. But I love the idea of little burlap flowers on a burlap canvas. And the wood frame is just very neutral and blends in well with this project. Isn't that so cute? I love how this turned out. I had a picture of this in my mind, but I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to pull it off. Next time, I might try to challenge myself with some more difficult flowers because those definitely weren't. But I think they turned out really pretty.